Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all for this iConnect event on the roadshow on the sustainable solutions and industry stakeholders meet. Today being held at Agra, at the Agra Footwear Manufacturers and the Association, AFMEC. And now I request the dignitaries to occupy the dais, please. Now I request our Director, Dr. K.J. Sriram, to welcome the gathering.
Good morning to one and all, to everyone who has joined here in the hybrid mode and all. This is a part of the Ministry of Science and Technology and Ministry of Earth Sciences initiative to connect the science ministries with the industry and thus ensure that the science departments or the laboratories under the science ministries are actually going to serve the requirements of the industry. So with that initiative, on the National Technology Day, the Honorable Minister for Science and Technology had launched this initiative from Jorhat, way up in the Northeast. And since then, we have had 61 events organized by various science ministries, ranging from marine wealth to textile to coatings to whatnot, to showcase the Indian science and technologies initiatives. CLRA wanted to do this for leather because we are for that. But we thought that instead of going hybrid, instead of going completely virtual, we'll go a little bit hybrid. And instead of doing it as 4 lectures or those kind of things, we would rather go in a mode where we will take your inputs as to what the institute should do. And the industry being in clusters, we thought that we will make use of this opportunity to find out from you what we can do for this particular cluster. In the last month, we were in Kanpur. We organized the Leather Research Industry Get Together, a flagship program of CLRI. Since 1964, that program has been there. But we organized that program for the first time ever in Kanpur. So the idea is that we move out of our stronghold of Chennai and we go to where the industry is and ensure that we are with everyone on this process. I'm very glad that I have with me a host of people in the dais who are well known in this industry, and I thank every one of them for taking this time to come over here for this program. So while we would listen to the 3 industry giants on their thought processes of Industry Institute Connect, I also have with me my academic partner in CFTI. This is perhaps we should, when we look at it, it so happens that the leather is the only one, I can say, where there is a good academy research industry collaboration. Institutions like CFTI are there, Anna University is there, the Kolkata College is there, Harcourt Butler is there. For the academic side, we are there at the research and we are in partnership with you. So this is a good connect, and that is also the background of the entire science, technology, innovation leadership that the government of India has actually planned. So with this few words, I would request Shri Purandavar, the president of AFMEC, to start off the discussions and tell us where we need to go. Thank you very much.
Very good morning to all of you. In celebrations of 75th celebrations of India's independence, today's program, I Connect, under the Ministry of Science and Technology, and today's program hosted by Central Leather Research Institute, Chennai, here in Agra. The dignitaries on the dais, none but the director himself, Dr. K.J. Shriram. I welcome you with the core of my heart in this footwear capital of India, it's Agra. Our Northern Region Chairman, Mr. Motilal Sethi, our Director for Central Footwear Training Institute. He is always instrument uplifting the industry. It's Mr. Sanatan Sahu, the Vice President of Agra Footwear Manufacturer Exporter Chamber, Mr. Rajesh Sehgal, the industry's leaders in front of me, all the industry's leaders attending on the hybrid mode, virtually attending. I welcome everyone. मुझे लगता है कि आज़ादी के 75वें वर्ष में जब प्रवेश कर रहे हैं, आत्मनिर्भरता की ओर बढ़ रहे हैं. We are strongly moving towards the self-reliant India. तो कहीं ना कहीं हमको अपनी भाषा पर विश्वास करना होगा. हमको अपने प्रोग्राम्स में एक प्रैक्टिकलिटी लानी है. मैं हिंदी में अधिक बात करने का प्रयास करूंगा. ये जो आज़ादी के 75वें महोत्सव में लगातार मुझे लगता है कि लेदर इंडस्ट्री पर जिस तरह से फोकस किया जा रहा है, सरकार जितने प्रोग्राम लगातार बना रही है और उन प्रोग्राम्स को न केवल बनाती है बल्कि आपके द्वार पर लाने के लिए लगातार कंटिन्यूसली स्टेक होल्डर्स प्रोग्राम किए जा रहे हैं. आज का ये प्रोग्राम आई कनेक्ट, इंडस्ट्री कनेक्ट, industry to the research. This program is organized today in 75 different locations. People are connecting on the virtual mode. एक बहुत अच्छा प्रोग्राम मैं the host Central Leather Footwear, Central Leather Research Institute के श्री राम जी को के प्रति आभार व्यक्त करना चाहूँगा. I will put the words of my gratitude on record to choosing Agra for this purpose. Because whenever we talk the leather industry is always in focus. Leather industries पर लगातार सरकार का focus है, so mainly because of the socio-economic reason. Creating the jobs that to the weakest section of the industry. मुझे लगता है कि सबसे बड़ा ऐसा उद्योग है जो सबसे अधिक रोजगार और वो भी वीकेस्ट सेक्शन को दे रहा है. ऐसा लेदर उद्योग पर फोकस होना सरकार का स्वाभाविक है और सरकार इसके प्रति लगातार सजग है. Other importance of the industry is earning the foreign exchange for the country. Although we have not achieved much, we are earning the $6 billion foreign exchange. It's only the 3% of the total world's requirement. Our share in the market from last 2 decades is stuck to 3%. World is trading as $200 billion. We are still at the 3% only. So this is the time to make a big jump. लेदर इंडस्ट्री पर फोकस इसलिए भी है लगातार कि लेदर इंडस्ट्री में एक ह्यूज पोटेंशियल इज देयर। जैसा मैंने बताया कि 3% शेयर है, 97% अभी हमारी प्लेट में है, और वर्ल्ड इज लुकिंग टुवर्ड्स इंडिया आफ्टर चाइना। Before we used to ask the question, after China, who is there? After China, there is China. But the whole sentiments today is absolutely changed. The world is looking uh, for India only, and we are sure that nobody can stop India from moving further in self-reliant India. CLRI can take us to the next level. We are lacking with many of the things. CLRI has done a lot for the tanning industries. They have created the atmosphere of ZLD, zero liquid discharge, which even, I don't think even American tanneries are adopting ZLD. Like India has proved, the CLRI has proved his worth. So upgrading the tanneries to ZLD. Even the solid waste management in the tanneries areas, CLRI has already achieved all the chrome flash, all the split. They have converted to the proteins, they have converted to the gelatins, and many more uses. It's not going to the landfilling or any polluting. And the leather is the most sustainable industry. Each and every part of the chemical, whatever we are using, this is basically the substitute of the meat industry. We are really absolutely helping the atmosphere from meat industry to the converting to the leather, and is making its proper use. The tanning part, we are achieving now. Our tanneries are LWG tanneries. We are free from most of the hazardous chemicals. It's a time to improve the product industry now. Product industry, we are still based, when we were talking with Samutilal Sethi was telling, we are still importing the shoe finishes. Why we can't make the shoe finishes here? We can test whatever is stall or Kenda or these imported Meltonian or Tegu, whatever they are using the ingredients, we can test it very well. We can use those ingredients and we can indigenously and have even the better products for the finishing where we are lacking. We are also lacking the core materials for sole making, particularly for TPR, the styrene butadiene we are importing, polyoil we are importing, isocyanate we are importing, everything we are importing. When we were talking yesterday, there was a question of the numbers comes. The numbers are not in India. But if India don't have the numbers, so who has the numbers? When the smaller to smaller countries like Korea, like Taiwan, can produce these products and they can export to all over the world. When India starts with 1.3 billion, we have our home consumption, the best, who nobody has. When we have our home consumption, we start from the 90, not from the zero. There are the countries who are starting from the zero. They have hardly any population. We are starting from the 90. So we have all reason to establish such industries. Man-made leather is a key today. The 90% of the footwear production is in the man-made leather. So man-made leather, we are totally depending on the imports. There are few industries, the Jash and Mayur and this top line are doing a wonderful job. But still we are depending, still our import for these man-made materials is up to 70 to 80% we are still importing. We can absolutely stop importing. And we will be facing the challenge also in importing those. The logistic cost has become so high, even 7 to 10 times higher the logistic cost at the moment. And also the China is going to face their own problems. What they have created, I'm sure their economy is going to the burst totally. And it will be not easy to import from the China. Also, the sentiments are totally at the moment are against China. So we have to, अगर हमको आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनना है, we have to be the self-reliant India. We have only option to produce all such products which we are based importing, and these we can do definitely. And when the CLRI can achieve the ZLD, achieve the tanning industry absolutely solid waste free, flash free, and converting into the proteins, all those proteins can be used in making the products. Product industry, as far as the footwear is concerned, it makes, I think, the highest value addition to the leather. And with this value addition, we have this, particularly these industries are suiting to India because we have already talked about foreign exchange earning and labor generation, but as well, these industries are mostly labor-oriented industries, and this is white categories industries. We hardly use any liquid in the process. There is hardly any air pollution in the process. So there are all reasons to grow such industries in the benefit of the environmental, from the environmental point of view also. So we just need to, my expectation from CLRI and Ministry of the Science and Technology, and the research should be focused to the core materials, base materials, where we are totally based on the imports. Thank you so much for choosing Agra for this purpose. Whenever we talk of the leather, Agra is always on the top. Agra's population, if we talk, this 40% of the population is depending directly or indirectly their livelihood from this industry only. This is the oldest cluster. Even from the Mughal era, these leather tanning started and converted to the product industry. It's catering 65% of this leather footwear to the domestic market, and it's 25% having the share in the national exports of footwear. So there were all reasons to choose Agra, but again, I thank you so much for choosing Agra for this purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for giving an overview about the footwear industry and the expectations from the industry to the institute and to the nation. Thank you. And now I invite our director, Dr. KJ Sriram, to give his presentation on showcasing sustainable solutions for footwear market.
Can I have the presentation, please? Yeah, thank you. So essentially, as we already spoke about this is part of the Industry Connect. I would like to let all of you know that we are not just talking about what CLRA can do for this industry. CLRA is a part of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, an organization under the Ministry of Science and Technology, where we have 37 laboratories. Some of them are extremely focused on chemicals development, such as my sister laboratories in NCL Pune, IICT Hyderabad, and so on and so forth. So many of those that we are talking about today, possibly I can link up with them and get the support of them for these materials that we are talking about. So with that framework, let's go to the next slide. I just thought that I will take you down the requirements or the current trends that we require, both through a partnership between the institute and the industry. And this is where Mr. Purindavar started off. And the word exactly I'm putting here, molecules and materials. At the present moment, we are still stuck with materials which are known to us. There are about 5 or 10 maximum number of materials that we are working with, while the rest of the world seems to be starting to look at more lighter, better performing materials for their footwear. Classical examples are the kind of developments that a company like Nike or somebody comes in the case of the sports footwear. They did come with this Flynet for some time and then moved out of that and all that stuff. So this is where the Atmanirbharta comes in, and we are looking at, can we be the starter on such molecules and materials? And if we have to be the starter on such molecules and materials, the first requirement is that the industry has to tell us what the consumers are looking forward to. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि जब R&D will do for some 20 years, कुछ करके उनके आपके पास आएंगे और you will say this is not what the consumer requires. So the mindset is that we want to know from you what is the consumer is looking for, and then we start the R&D. This is one significant change that we are talking about compared to the R&D of the past. I can give you a classical example. Sir, CLRA ने एक fault diagnosis device बनाया था. एक funding था उसके लिए, और we had done that. This was like artificial intelligence लेके we will tune the machine to understand पूरा का पूरा defects जो है leather में. And you subject the leather to the machine. The machine will tell you that it's leather. It will mark you in the leather जहाँ जहाँ पे defects है और what defects क्या है. So this was a part of the activity which we had taken up. And after that, we went to the industry. पहले नहीं गए थे, we went afterwards. So when this went to the industry, the first thing that the guy who does this for the industry, the fault identification to the leather industry, the first thing that he saw at the machine and said, "Sir, ये तो मैं 30 seconds में करता हूँ, आपके machine तो 2 minutes लगता है इसमें." So that was the first thing which he said. Then he said, "Sir, for me, I require one extra manpower leather देखने के लिए. आपके machine में तो 4 लोग चाहिए leather को machine में डालने के लिए और वापस लेने के लिए." So he said, "Why don't you do it a conveyor belt thing?" Now, the whole thing was, science was there, but a camera positioning वगैरह को change करके उसको static से dynamic बनाने के लिए we had to start from the beginning itself. And then finally, the nail on the coffin, if I may put it, was that the footwear industry came back and said, this is the input machine which has to sit in the starting of my factory, जहां पे सट्रा accredited लोग होते हैं, आप जाके वो machine को सट्रा accredit करवा दीजिए, so that wherever you don't get the manpower to do the diagnosis, machine काम कर सकता है. So this is where we come back and say that अगर हम industry के साथ discuss करके पहले से ही काम करते हैं, by now this would have been already in the industry. Now it will take another 6 months for me to redo the whole thing and start off. So whatever I'm talking today is practically at level 0. I'm not talking to you something which I've already done and coming to you. So whatever is there I'm talking today is only in that sense. Can I have the next slide, please? So basically, what we understood with our discussions from all of you through the last 6 months or so is that the sustainability in the footwear industry is going to depend on full economic value of the raw material. So this is what Mr. Purindavar was trying to tell us. If we are using a leather for the footwear, after cutting and other things, wherever the entire, in the whole chain, starting from the raw material to the leather which goes in the footwear, Jahan pe bhi waste is coming up, we need to earn value out of it. There have been options, jaise raw hides and skins trimming mein we can make gelatin, which is a high value gelatin jo food industry mein jata hai. We can make the keratin or the hair waste, we can convert it into compost or hydrolysates, which we have now already proven that wo NPK fertilizer ke bina kaam kar sakta hai. It is actually better than the NPK fertilizer, which we are importing into the country. So that's a secondary part of it. Then wo chrome shavings ke upar, which is currently considered as a hazardous waste. And there are people who buy those waste for us today, but then at times it is considered as a landfilling issue. Wahan pe we are telling that let's take the chromium, give it back to the chromium manufacturer, the BCS manufacturer. Protein co, we'll give you simple technologies. Hum say we'll recover the protein and use it as a protein synthesis right in the tannery itself. You don't even have to go to a chemical company to do that. So in that sequence of things, one of the challenges which we have identified is that we know today to manage our leather very well, but we don't know how to manage the other polymeric materials which are coming in our footwear industry. So this is something which we are looking at. As on today, as we understand, you may be able to reuse that waste in something or other, but there is no recycling option currently available, especially for your PU or PVC waste materials that we are generating. Second one, continuation of that is the zero emission. We have achieved the zero liquid discharge. We need to achieve more on the solid waste discharge, and we have not yet seriously concerned about the gaseous waste. Industry in India is still in the naive stages of gaseous emissions. The third one is economic recovery, which I already mentioned to you. Energy viability. Today, the cost of energy is going up, and we need to somehow make sure that our waste management system, especially वो leather making पे common effluent treatment plants का जो energy requirements है, उसको reduce करना पड़ेगा. One of those things which we had earlier suggested and is implemented under various schemes was the solar panels for the as a source of energy for running the CETPs. In Kolkata Leather Complex, we have put up a pilot plant. वहाँ पे जो fleshing waste है, उसको biogas करके, from the biogas you generate energy to run the CETP itself. So this was another thing which is in the stages which we can look at further. One of my sister laboratories, so Dehradun pe hai, Indian Institute of Petroleum, they have come out with catalytic converters, जिसमें the biogas can actually convert itself into a aviation fuel itself. They have run a couple of SpiceJet flights schedules with this petroleum that they created out of biogas. So huge potential is there. We need to look into that more. Then, of course, productivity that already you are very well aware about, and the zero defect methods. यहाँ पे we are talking about that at some point of time, industry will have to transit from the present methodologies to more of artificial intelligence. But artificial intelligence will come only if the industry puts forward the data analytics, because artificial intelligence is made up of only the data that we provide. So जो भी defects है, जो भी productivity issues है, every industry will have to provide into the database, and from that only the analytics would start coming up. Next slide, please. So having said this, this is just a classical example of what we are talking about from the sustainability point of view. Sustainability is today such a simple thing that these are like some of those forgotten things. We need to enhance the longevity. And when we say longevity, in the past, it was, I buy a shoe, my shoe should sustain for 10 years. Today, we are talking about, I buy the shoe, I use it, but can it, after some restoration, be used by somebody who is today not able to afford that kind of a shoe that we are selling? So this is typical restoration thing. There were in India in the past systems where we used to get the second-hand materials. Today, those shops are very famous in the West. You have the Craig second list, or there are even portals jahan pe second-hand materials, restored materials बेचते हैं. Even Apple or बाकी people also have refurbished products available. We need to start thinking about, is my shoe that I am selling today in a position to be restored and sold to somebody else as a refurbished material. Isme, you will have to practically go back and look at not just the leather, because leather is easily restorable by us, but about other parts which are going into the footwear, such as key metal components jo usme dalte hain, that we have to really look into the restoration part in order to call the sustainability. Essentially, the simplistic thing that we talk about here is that when you increase the life of a footwear, then what we are doing is we are reducing the total carbon footprint of the footwear industry. So even if you are able to give a plan, key the first user can use the shoe for 5 years, second and third generation users can use it for another 5-10 years, you have made a positive impact. Aapka carbon negativity will come towards zero. This is the essential point that we are stressing in all that of this. Next one, please. So essentially, I have summarized the whole sustainability thing into a few aspects. Product safety remains the prime. Ergonomic aspects of our footwear, we need to look into it. The good working environment, especially in our factories, is a secondary part of it. Equity with the supply chain. Post-COVID, the entire issue of supply chain logistics has become a mega segment. One classical example which I can give you is that there was a time when after the first wave of the COVID, India was running short of the swabs to collect the sample from your nostril. But there popped up a company suddenly who was a manufacturer of a similar kind of material. And he started supplying for the entire India. Otherwise, we would have had a shortage of the swab and not able to do the kind of testing that we did. So this is where the entire supply chain logistics is coming in. Pharma has suddenly improved from about the supply chain logistics, and we may possibly need to improve upon our supply chain logistics to ensure that we get the right material at the right price and at the right time. The next comes the infrastructure. This is something which all of you know. I don't have to look at it. This particular industry's strongest point is job creation. As long as we remain committed to creating those jobs, the industry will be looked at in a positive framework. And this adds to the social sustainability of this industry. When we are talked about as a polluter on one side of the social segment, there is the other segment of this industry, which we are always positive about, that we create jobs, and that also for the women and the downtrodden. And this element of this industry needs to remain strong. And one unfortunate thing as of now, sir, is that we don't have those numbers properly. We have been claiming 4.5 million, लेकिन उसका data आज हमारे पास ठीक ठाक नहीं है. All the industry will have to contribute to that, and we have to really have those numbers strongly to suggest where we are. So this is one element which we may all have to work together to see where are we on that aspect. Of course, then it keeps going. Then a main part into the sustainability thing is adding to the local economy. In the entire carbon footprint calculation, there is this calculation factor of transport. Especially if we are transporting the material by, say, an aircraft, then the carbon footprint is going to be very, very negative. So we need to see whether we can create a local environment and move things in that aspect. Low emission is something which I already spoke about. Though the term is very scientific, what we call as the atom or energy economy. Here, we need to really go back and see whether the left is equal to the right. Whatever we put in as the input, has it come out in some form or the other as an output instead of going as a waste? And these calculations will completely change company to company, factory to factory, because it's completely people dependent. Using material and energy wisely, I've already talked about it. The next one, which we all have to once again and again emphasize, many people have already started doing it, biodiversity protection. There has to be a concrete investment into the protection of the bioenvironment. Planting trees is one of those smallest things that we talk about, but then there are other things such as green energy. Moving away from coal and into other energies, we will have to seriously be focused on, can we start looking at other energy sources People are today, some of the industries have even started talking about going into hydrogen economy. Can we make hydrogen as our fuel to run our industries? This has been something which people have been talking about. This industry also needs to be looking at. Hazard management is another major thing. We have already come very close to zero on the on the scavenging part. Otherwise, previously, leather industry used to be known for people going into the pit and dying because of a hydrogen sulfide gas. Today, we have come very close to zero. But we also need those protection devices and things like that to handle our solvents and adhesives, especially in the footwear segment. So this is something which we'll have to be looking at. Next slide, please. So, sir, in the new material world, we need to understand that leather is one of the materials. Footwear industry's survival would be dependent on how we tune our factories to manufacture multiple material systems, not just say leather. So leather as just another material, we need scaling. And if we have to talk about scaling, we need that little or no human intervention systems adopted. At least on the design elements, at least on the conceptualization, etc. We need to come with little human interventions, and that would be on advantage to us. Recently, in the last 1 month, the Tamil Nadu government had brought to us 3 different groups of people from Indonesia and Taiwan. They were all claiming to be manufacturers for companies like Nike, Adidas, and so on and so forth. And they're talking itself in terms of 6,000 people per shift. That's a starting talk itself. Can see institutions like CLRI, FDDI, and they went and met every one of them, CFTI, everyone who's stationed in Chennai, and said, do you think from local people you can create that 6,000 people per shift? Some of them are talking about 3 shifts, some of them are talking about 2 shifts. And this kind of numbers when they are talking about, we also need to be in that scales. We are currently not even closer to that. Industry 4.0 is a reality. We need to really go and ensure that part of it. The leather at times is likely that would yield to other merchandising products. We feel tremendously threatened by the vegan wave, but at the present moment, at least, it looks like it's an embraceable product rather than considering as a foe. We can replace some of our non-biodegradables like PU or SBU with some of these veganisms, and that's a way forward rather than looking at them as a foe to leather. So the remaining creativity comes into the second and last aspect of this. We have to have that human creativity, and there comes the schools and personalized and customized training options. So leather, thus, if we have to retain it as a niche product, we need to put that nicheness of leather up compared to the synthetics. Especially, we start talking about the natural defects as a niche of leather. This is one of those classical things which we are talking about. Next slide, please. Next one. Yeah. So this is just to give you an impression about the carbon footprint. You can find here that what all goes into the system. Things which we have not even thought about. Because in leather making, there are 2 problems that we are talking about. Should the leather industry consider the carbon footprint from the time the animal hide or skin arrives into its factory, or should we consider it from the agriculture itself? One negative school of thought says that you have to consider from the agriculture, the farmer, onwards for your carbon footprint. Their justification is that leather earns almost 10 times and more value than the meat industry. You talk about 1 rupee for the meat, you're talking about almost 1,000 rupees for the value added product. So they say that leather industry should calculate its carbon footprint from agriculture onwards. Now, if we are to take it from agriculture onwards, the processing segment of the carbon footprint is a minuscule, less than 1% of the total. In that, what can we do is very limited. That's a current. If somebody has already adopted good cleaner technologies, good waste management technologies, then their footprint in processing is quite small. But if we are going to start calculating only from the place where the raw hides and skins has entered into your company, then if you don't manage each and every waste into a value added product, your carbon footprint is going to be extremely negative. And this industry, as on today, as we stand, especially with India being a part of the COP26 and other things, we will have to go very closer to carbon zero or carbon neutral aspects. This is something which we need to look at. So everything, transport, water consumption, everything is coming into the picture. And this is something which we will have to be closely watching around. Next slide, please. So just to give you an example of what is the data that is available today. They say that 1.2 million tons of shoe waste is generated every year in UK alone. And 15% of this is only going as second-hand and whatnot. While, I think I lost my screen, please. Yeah. While 85% is in the landfill. This is just the UK data which UNIDO has generated. We don't know about other countries. We must understand that India is a larger consumer of footwear than the UK. So we need to look at various means and mechanisms of this thing. These are all known to us, but what they have now starting to talk about is that a box of footwear should also have a slip telling our consumer what they should do after they think the life of their footwear is over. Whether they should try to give it to somebody for a restoration or should we itself create a restoration booths, all those things are coming into picture. Next slide, please. So what is CLRI able to do here? As I said, this is an area we are starting at zero. And this is an area where we cannot give you a complete one-size-fits-all technology options. And we need to practically work with almost every one of you separately. Because each of your styles of making, each of your product dimensions are different. So what we are talking about is a customized training and retraining as a first part, so that we create the quality manpower to a level where whatever is in the hands of the human being is not coming up into the carbon footprint. Then we want to work on the parameters. We want to see whether where are your waste generated, how are your waste generated, and then come up with global best technologies that you can adopt. Basically, we want to provide you with a basket of technologies which you can adopt to manage your waste streams and other things. Finally, what is missing today in the entire world is that there's no matrices for sustainability. World over, I think India needs to be the first one to come out and say that, look, I am going to give you an independent sustainability matrices. At the present moment, whatever metrics of what we are talking about, LWG and others, which is already only in the leather stream of things, is predominantly brand driven. So whatever the brand wants is what is entering into the scheme of things. We may be better off by looking at an independent metrics altogether. Next slide, please. So, sir, just to give you an example of what we can do, we are talking about a postgraduate training program. This is not the kind of primary skilling or those kind of things. Next slide. Just to give you an option, I put this into 14 segments. You may want to have manpower trained only in one of those segments. And there will be multiple institutions available to cater to these needs. For instance, if you take about somebody in your factory, just knowing about the national and international scenario and fixing up where is my company's opportunities, that would be one segment. Manufacturing, from the raw material to the end product, various segments can be divided, and that's a second one. Somebody who is just going to be in the shop floor or anything, that they will go into the detailed scheme. There are programs of vocational training, certificate, diploma, and others, which almost all of us are offering. Then comes the business processes in the industry, where people who have had long experience running this industry over a period of time will have to come and share their knowledge with the youngsters and tell them, how do you manage this industry? This is not something which CLRA can do it. It will actually come from the industry itself. Then comes sourcing inventory management. Here again, if you go back and look at it, one time we used to have people who are too good in sourcing in this industry. I mean, they never were part of any industry. They were only people whom you will go and ask, where can I source my raw material? And they will guide you on that. So we need to create those segment of people to look at that part. Then we are talking about HR compliance and safety. That's becoming a very major important part. So we need that. Then comes the IT concepts, which are part of the industry 4.0. Then comes the biggest thing, the warehouse management, where we are talking about, if I were to be a part of Walmart, what should I do? Then comes marketing, sample and product development. This again becomes more technical. Industrial engineering has to be imbibed because our people today need to know about IT concepts to converting the IT output into an industrial activity, especially when it comes to automated machines. Then comes the shop floor management. Then comes automation, wherever we can do. And of course, the last and the final element, which is the most important element, quality control. So what we are talking about here is that people can enter at any level, exit at any level, depending upon your requirement. You may straight away go into the shop floor management and with a person with no knowledge about the leather industry at all, or doesn't know anything about product making. So he or she will have to be put into the 2 or 3 part, trained there and brought as a shop floor manager. That person who had already been good at 3 or can be promoted to 4 to 13 if they have gone through the training program. So you are creating a system wherein you tell your people that these are the avenues of progress in your factory. Now assume that you are hiring a person too good in marketing with a lot of this management degrees and so on, but doesn't have any idea about the leather industry. He or she may go through a snapshot training program of comprising all the 14 elements and be a good management person for you. Total number of hours that we are talking about, if everybody has to go through everything, is around 804 hours. And each of these modules can be separately certified. So the person who's going through the training will get the concerned certificate. These modules can be done at your factory itself so that they don't waste time on moving around and things like that. So these are things which we are talking about. We have done this program very successfully in KH, and we may be starting it very shortly with AV Thomas group as well. So this is something which CLRA is planning. And I would like to tell you that this will not be completely CLRA driven because we don't have the expertise in several segments, but we are talking about bringing people from elsewhere. For instance, we really want to, we are talking with IIM Kozhikode and IIM Bangalore on the marketing part of the whole thing, and also with some IITs on the industrial engineering component. Next slide, please. So this is what I had to communicate with users. And what was said by Mr. Purandavar, I reiterate, India needs to be a strong Atmanirbhar country. We are very good in leather making. We are almost self-sufficient in it. But our chemicals, as was mentioned by him, is still not in that self-reliant mode. And this could possibly create problems, especially if another wave of this viral systems, etc., come in and movement of material becomes an issue of concern. So this is something which we can all work together. And CLRA, while I don't promise that I will deliver you tomorrow morning itself, I promise you that we can work with you and over a period of time, deliver it for you as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for highlighting the need of the industry and what CLRA can provide as a solution, and also the programs that could be available for the industry. Thank you. Now, we will kickstart the B2B discussions. I would like to first invite Sri Motilal Sethi, Regional Chairman, North, Council for Leather Exports. Please, sir.
Good morning, friends from Agra, one of the biggest clusters. And it's a very gracious morning, and I really feel very privileged to be here in Agra for this Ministry of Science and Technology function. And I, first of all, welcome on behalf of my northern region, This is being taking place. Mr. Puran Davar, Mr. Puran Davar, F President FMAC, who has initiated hosting this here in Agra, which is actually the biggest cluster for footwear with more than 5,000 industries here, and very proactive industrial revolution taking place here to be the biggest cluster for footwear across the country. And we are all wholeheartedly here because this fortunately happens to be the biggest cluster in the northern region. So having this program here is very timely, very opportune. Mr. KJ Sriram, Mr. Sanatanu Sahu, Director CFTI, and Mr. Ruby Sehgal, Vice President FMAC. So I welcome you all. And this is actually a very gracious morning because very encouraging morning, I would like to say to all of you. As Mr. Davar started, India is being looked upon as an opportunity center. It is a focus country today and across the world. And we should actually try and encash on the pro-India sentiments today. So this deliberation, this initiative of Ministry of Technology, which is 75 such programs are being held at different centers for educating, for bringing about the focus on science and technology, for bringing about the focus on industrialization and our leather sector. I come straight away to that. He has given a very good overview. And Mr. Davar, whatever he said, that after China, of course, now everybody is talking very much in a convincing manner, India is after China. So what is required for India today is what we are talking about today. India has an opportunity. Mr. Davar said 3%, 97% is yet to be explored. And we are all convinced that how do we explore this 97%? Because we say we are number 2 after China, but the gap between number 1 and number 2 is very big. And with what I said, encouraging morning today, Mr. KJ Sriram said the times have come. And I would like to here express that the foreign investors who have never been coming to India, he said about 3 big companies, Nike is setting up like plants of 200 acres in the south of India. So this is very, very encouraging that India is being looked upon by foreigners who are seeing the potential in India. And now today, if we do not really gear up as to seeing that the customers are coming, the potential is there, the large factories are being done, the labor human resources are being trained. So whatever in his presentation he has given, I think we need to be really taking up every single aspect has been covered in it. And today, I think from Chennai, the CLRI, I would say, I would like to compliment that CLRI happens to be the biggest leather research institute. We are very privileged to have such an institute with us. It's, I think, sprawling 100 acres of land. The announcement of foreign investors coming to India is a very opportune thing. I'm told by Mr. Sriram that Prime Minister is there in Tamil Nadu for 2 days today. Perhaps this news of foreign investment about leather, about the leather industry will also go to his ears today, which is very encouraging. What I'm suggesting here is from this forum that CLRI, FTT, CFDI, FDDI, these are all the institutions which are backing the leather industry. Now, the forum is today talking how CLRI per se as a body can really be helpful. He has been talking about the skill development. He has been talking about the technology. Now, in an industrialization, we talk about three important slogans were there: skill, scale, and speed. But I would like to add another very important aspect, which is sustainability. Now, today he has spoken about sustainability, and sustainability includes everything. In our manufacturing processes, how do we really excel ourselves by economies of scale? Secondly, on the technology front, he has spoken that the industry needs to be doing it. Here I have to give a very important suggestion to the director CLRI that India, whatever we are saying on the product side, we are still, why we are having a 3% share is we are still lacking on a lot of things. The one of the most important thing in our leather industry is leather finishing. We are all talking that, oh, look, China is producing such a nice finishing. Italy is offering such value addition to the leather. So I have suggested through this forum, I am again suggesting, I'm from the garment industry, from the leather bags industry, and from the tanning industry. We are still lacking on the technology. There should be an institute of finishing or kind of a body in the CLRI to get most of the finishing techniques from all over the world, and also research on the chemicals required, the availability of finishing techniques required, so that we do have the leather, which is the most important component of our leather industry, of world standards. So I think my submission and my appeal to him will be to start working on this with immediate effect, because if we have very good leather, because till date, most of the tanneries, when we are going to Linea Pelle or to other international fairs, we are collecting a lot of swatches. We come back to India, we try to develop, but we are unable to develop because of the lack of technology, lack of knowledge. So here I said, most of the aluminists who are with Stoll or with other chemical companies, the brain pool, intellect pool bank is from CLRI. A lot of them are aluminous students are from CLRI. It will be very easy for us to take this mission forward. On the industrialization, I would like to say further that the industry can grow with the support of the institutions. Most of the things he has already underlined on the Industry 4.40, on the raw material sourcing, on the outsourcing. And I would like to say that industry altogether should be having synergies with most of these institutions to explain them as to our requirements very closely. So in this context, the role of CLRI, FDDI, CFTI, NIFT is very, very important. And all these institutions should be lined up on one line together with the industry to make it happen. I would like to once again compliment that the research work being done by CLRI, in case I've been seeing a lot of activities, we have color cards, we have color forecasts, we have other things being done by CLRI, is going a very long way in the development of industry, but that's not enough. We have yet to do a much more onto our research and development, and the leather industry being more research oriented, product development industry needs CLRI support to the larger extent, which is a premier institution on the leather side. While speaking on this, we are talking of the scale today. We are talking of big cluster developments. The CLRI presence should be in every single cluster. So I would like to also address from here that whichever cluster is being made, the CLRI should have its offshoot office or some kind of a research lab or something stationed. And while I've just been talking about a Yamuna Express cluster of 100 acres, the government is, very, very proactive on giving land, extra land for setting up such research and development centers in every single cluster, so that entrepreneurs are able to get all the technologies and services at the within the cluster. So we have also recently signed a 500 acres cluster in Rohtak, which is the biggest for footwear, and non-leather footwear will be the more important area. There we were talking last week when we were meeting the Chief Minister that the research center will be created and CLRI presence will also be there. So they have also sanctioned such lands there. So together with the industry synergy and the help of the institution, we can definitely go a long way. I would like to say that there was a talk during the COVID. Our industry has recovered quite well. We have a set target of $30 billion by 2025. Our this year closer is from at the time of COVID, we dropped down our sales to 3.6 billion. We have reached to 5 billion. And I think this year we are likely to close at 6 billion. So we are a recovering sector. Whatever has been talked about during COVID, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, we are seeing the light today. And I conclude by saying that there is a sun which is shining on India today. So make hay when the sun is shining. With these words, I encourage all of you. Thank you very much for being me here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your remarks. Now, I invite Mr. Rajesh Shegal, Vice President of the Agra Footwear Manufacturers and Exports Chamber. Please, sir.
Namaskar, the dignitaries on the stage, my colleagues and friends. Well, let you know that I'm not here to give a speech. I will speak certain specific points. Maybe I would like to hear yes or no from the dignitaries or the concerned people. I'm sure CLRI is doing a lot of research work. My suggestion to you will be that instead of sending a monthly magazine, it should be put on a portal which can be seen on a daily basis. And if there is anything attractive for anybody, he can contact you. My observation with my whatever experience I have in the industry, except a construction called cemented shoes and the other construction, direct injection, I have not seen any radical change in shoe production. It is really depressing, surprising. Please think about it. Why couldn't we think of anything else, a different kind of shoemaking than only these two processes? Long, tedious process, and we are still continuing with it. No innovation whatsoever. Leather is one of your important part. Just for my knowledge, Rajiv, do you know what is EI10 leather? What is the full form of EI10 leather? Anyway, EI10 leather, as you know, it is East India tanned leather. One of the best system of tanning. You get the best leather from EI. Shoe looks beautiful, very friendly to the skin. It becomes very, very mellow. The more you use it, more beautiful it becomes. What have we done to improve EI tanning? Nothing. Nothing. It's dying its own death. EI tanned leather probably is the cheapest leather in India today. Why? And being the best leather. Nobody has worked on it. And in fact, sir, when we start working or researching for something, the very basic thing the researchers or the scientists must think that will the cost and the running cost allow us to use it? Most of the things we spend millions, and at the end, we find that useless. For example, cutting by automatic machines. If you see the cost of the machine, the running cost of the machine, and then the output, eventually it will be much, much more than the worker in India can cut. Why should we work on it? What was the need? Only just because we get some subsidy from the government, we should buy that machine? No, it's total utter nonsense. Yes, it is very useful machine for China. If you're cutting synthetic, it is beautiful, very useful, cuts the cost. I can point out many things on which we have wasted not only the time and the money, but if we had thought initially itself that what will be the ultimate use of it, maybe we could have avoided it. Sir, I have a question to you. I have a question to you. I think today we have more than 300 items, chemicals, which are banned. And I don't want to go into that discussion whether the decision about those chemicals is correct or not. I accept that, okay, yes, whoever has made that list, he must be right that it is bad for the human skin. Is there any difference in Indian skin and the European skin? Then why they are allowed in India? Why can't they put forward forcibly your organization to the government that these chemicals are equally bad for Indians and Europeans? Why are they produced? Why are they produced at all in India? Do you know how much money we waste for testing the materials and still uncertain if it is there or not there? Why can't we do it? Well, I was not prepared, so certain points which I'm coming at a very haphazard. Your point that the requirement must come from India, from the manufacturers. That's absolutely right. If we see that there is a consistent problem while producing our product, we should come to you that please find a solution. My president has elaborated about the shoe finishes, that why can't we make it in India? I will go one step further. Why do we need shoe finishes? For what? What is the percentage of basic shoes in the market and the stylish shoes in the market what the president is wearing? Maybe 5%. So instead of concentrating on 5%, why don't we concentrate on 95%, which we can make without finishing? And how will we make it without finishing? This is one thought I'm giving you. Maybe you can work on it. Why can't we have a certain kind of material which can be put over the skin, especially new books or suedes, which will be taken out only when the shoe is ready? I don't need any finish. Take the new book from the tannery and look at the shoe when it is ready. You don't feel like looking at it, and then you paint, you color it, you put shiner on it and things like that. I have seen the factories. I have seen the factories who cover the skin before issuing for cutting. And that lamination is taken out only once the shoe is ready. The shoe comes out as it is coming from the tannery, ready, no finishing required. One cloth, pack, and 95% shoes are black, and this is what the market needs. I know it was an Italian factory. I also tried in my factory. Let's do it. The problem which I faced, that, mind you, you are doing stitching also over it. Throughout, stitching, lasting, sole bonding, everything you're doing. And then at the end, you are just peeling it off like a mask. If the stitching is fine, then that material breaks into pieces, and then certain pieces get stuck in the stitching where you have, and then it is quite difficult to take it out. So if you can make a research, such a product, maybe I put a blower over it and out, and shoe is ready for the dispatch. Well, friends, that's all what comes to my mind. Thank you very much for listening me and giving me the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for giving nice suggestions to work on. Before I invite some dignitaries available online, I request Sri Sanatan Sahu, Director CFTA Agra, to offer his remarks.
Thank you so much. Respected dignitaries on the dais, especially the person of Chief, Sri K.J. Sriram Sahab, the Director from Central Leather Research Institute, Puran Dawar Sahab, President of MEC, Mr. Motilal Shetty Sahab, the Regional Chairman of our Council for Leather Exports, Northern Region, Sri Rajesh Sehgal sir, the Senior Vice President of MapMec, and here the leading industrialists of Agra and other my friends. It is my proud privilege to be over here in this auspicious occasion when we talk about the need of technology and our preparedness. We see that China is number one and it will remain number one unless until we are coming forward to take the responsibility jointly together, whatever can be best possible at our respective ends. The change is the only unchanged things in the entire universe, and change will happen. It will happen in terms of technology. It will happen in terms of the designs, new things, customers' requirements, and so on and so forth. And the intellectuality and preparedness lies there, where we can see, experience, and take corrective measures, appropriate precautions, so that we can face this changing environment. We know that footwear industry is having its own significant role among the entire leather industry for the socio-economic development of the country in terms of both employment generation as well as substantial foreign exchange earning for the country. And our honorable speakers, dignitary, they have given very inside views and true experiences what is happening in this leather field. And it is the time to think together to go ahead. Leather cannot be replaced. It is one of the best raw material for our shoe production because of its very unique properties. This may be due to strength and stretch, elasticity and plasticity, water vapor permeability, workability, and many other significant properties. And rightly said our honorable speakers, lot of changes are happening across the world. And we have to adhere, we have to take the responsibility to work on those so that we can have our own place in the international forum, in the global fraternity. No doubt, non-leather, especially PVC-coated fabrics and PU-coated fabrics are now becoming more popular because of its various properties, especially comfort, look, and other qualities. And many of the raw materials for this non-leather production are imported, and we have to think very seriously on this, how this import substitution can take place. It cannot be possible if we are working in isolation. As such, we are talking before this meeting that the institute and industry interface must have to be strengthened. It has to be defined. We have to sit together to understand what responsibility we can share at respective levels. CLRI is one of the world-class research institute, and the mentoring is having the mentoring role for the entire leather fraternity. Sir, we are here, Central Footwear Training Institute, Agra. We are in the training and skill development, and you are there as for the technological developments are concerned, training of the trainers are concerned, and giving a new area of technologies altogether. let us join together, sir. It is our sincere request. Please use our strength, whatever you are having in another part of the country, and jointly we can do a lot of things, sir. Not only will be disseminating the emerging technologies, but we can make the people scalable, skill-oriented to take the things forward, sir. It's quite possible. There is a very big area is untapped as on date. That is orthopedic shoes. Orthopedic solutions are having its own importance, and just near to that, sir, customized shoes is having its coming requirement, coming demand in near future, and sir, we can do a lot of things therein. Waste management is one of the very core area what I have learned and understood. Zero wastages should be our one of our target, and you are continuously working on this. So let us create some awareness programs and some demonstrable programs over here, sir. We welcome the team from CLRI, and sir, we are committed for that, and we'll be doing this unconditionally, sir. At last, but never the least, the industry, fraternity, especially APMEC, who is a very proactive industry association at Agra. Sir, we also urge you, because I have taken a very good lesson from the deliberations that the industrialists, the experts, industry experts should come for the students to share their knowledge and experience on continuous basis. Sir, it is my sincere request from this August gathering that please spare some of your precious times on regular basis, and we'll see that how our students can get their knowledge and skill improved with your kind intervention. With these words, I thank you all, especially the organizers, to make me proud to be over here in this occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your address. Now I invite Sri Gopal Gupta, Vice President of AFMEC, who has joined online to offer his remarks.
Good morning, Dr. Shri Ramji, Mr. Davar, and everybody on the dais and present in the hall. ये बहुत अच्छा प्रोग्राम हो रहा है और इससे काफ़ी कुछ सीखने को मिल रहा है और CLRI को काफ़ी कुछ R&D वगैरह करनी चाहिए जिससे कि वेस्टेज वगैरह के लिए कंट्रोल हो जाए और वैल्यू एडिशन हो जाए, जो उन्होंने बताया है। प्लस अगर कोई फैक्ट्री एक्सपेंशन के लिए जा रही है तो क्या गाइडेंस मिलेगी और क्या चार्जेस वगैरह हैं, और जिससे कि हम मार्च करें टुवर्ड्स द परफेक्शन ऑफ द प्रोडक्शन, मिनिमाइज द प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट एंड अपग्रेड द आवर प्रोडक्ट। इसके लिए भी गाइडेंस अगर CLRI दे तो बहुत अच्छा रहेगा। R&D में मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि R&D में बहुत खर्च करना पड़ता है हमको। उसके लिए पहले एडेड टैक्स एडवांटेज गवर्नमेंट देती थी, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी की बात कर रहा हूँ, उसका रजिस्ट्रेशन कराने के बाद में। लेकिन अब वो उन्होंने एडेड टैक्स एडवांटेज देना बंद कर दिया है। अगर वो स्कीम चालू हो जाए तो एक्सपोर्टर्स और ये पर्टिकुलरली फुटवेयर इंडस्ट्री को काफ़ी कुछ बेनिफिट मिलेगा इसमें, और लोगों को एनकरेजमेंट मिलेगा कि इसमें खर्च करें और अपने को प्रोडक्ट को अपग्रेड करें। That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. If there are any other industry, yeah, please, sir. Sir, you can come here and then speak, please.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and all the respected dignitaries sitting in the dais and my colleagues. I've heard, I was a little late. I apologize for that, and I've missed out on a couple of sessions. But what I would like to stress upon that I haven't heard anybody talking about a lean management to be incorporated in the industry in Agra. So that would give not the skill development, but I mean, you all know the advantages of lean management, where I think that 99% of the footwear industries I'm talking about in the South are already enrolled with lean management systems with 5S and just in time and every system there. And another thing about the R&D, I would request you, sir, that you said we should tell you the problems, what we are facing. You are in connection with the entire industry in the South. We might be able to maybe like 10 factories or 12 factories. A lot of people are stage shy. And you have a much larger and an organized industry there. And you already know what the problems in the footwear industry come. So we should rather look upon you for the new research and developments. Of course, we will tell our own problems, but what about the domestic manufacturers? They also have problems in their leather stitching departments and everything. And then I want to stress upon the skill management of the women labor, which we are absolutely nowhere in Agra or in northern India. So I would request Mr. Sahu also to help us in training the ladies' manpower. And we are falling very, very short of skilled labor here now. The domestic industry is doing well, the exporters are doing well, so we should take up this matter. I'll ask my president also how we can move ahead and induct some training courses for ladies as well. So that's all I want to say. Thank you. And Mr. Saigal, you asked me a question, EI tan. We'd already done vegetable tanning ourselves, but that was only in the sole leather. So Indian vegetable tanning, maybe it was done by the East Indian company first. So it's basically a vegetable tan leather. Why? I would say Indian vegetable tan leather. Thank you. Thank you. There's no competition in that, but I just wanted to know the price.
साहु साहब, हमारा जो CFTI का कोर्स है, can you just give me a roughly idea? डिजाइनिंग पे कितना टाइम स्टूडेंट को लगता है और बाकी चीज़ों पे कितना टाइम, रफली कितना टाइम आप स्टूडेंट्स को डिजाइनिंग के लिए देते हैं?
टाइम दे रहे हैं
हाँ जी,
20% टाइम
20%.
हाँ सर about 20% time we are giving for the designing and 80% of in other areas.
साहब मेरा सोचना ये है, अगर मेरे से भी कोई कहे कि आज अमेरिका में क्या फैशन है, तो मैं कहूँगा मुझे नहीं मालूम क्या फैशन चल रहा है. तो लेट इट बी ए स्पेशलिटी जॉब, जो कौन फोरकास्ट दे सकता है कि क्या चल रहा है और क्या आने वाला है. मेरे लिए तो जो हम लोग कहते हैं ना कि ये आगरा में डिजाइनिंग कोर्स है, इट शुड बी नेम शुड बी टोटली चेंज. इट इज पैटर्न मेकिंग, नॉट डिजाइनिंग. वी शुड नॉट एक्सपेक्ट somebody sitting in Agra to make designs. They all copy from the net or from the customer or wherever. What we are lacking, and we have discussed it before also, more than designing, we need to stress other important aspects.
Okay.
And one of them is the time management, which is totally missing. And it is missing especially in Agra because we have a faulty system of contract system in Agra. We don't count time, which is costing us very dearly. People ask that if I give you 1,000 pairs order, what is the cost? And if I give you 100,000 pairs, what is the cost? I say it is same. They laugh. But if I was working on a time management, then 100,000 pairs must cost me less. Time management, cost cutting, how to get a better average. These are the things which are much, much more important than learning to make a pattern. And of course, it is connected with your lean management. Now, sir, if you, I don't know if you have come to know about it or not, if you want to give a training to somebody for stitching, it's a difficult job. Stitching doesn't mean धागा डाला, leather डाला, कर्र किया, सिलाई निकल गई. No. Precise stitching, turning on the right curvatures, or blind stitching, or different kind of stitching, it is not easy. मुझे नहीं लगता कि साल भर में भी आप किसी को सिखा सकते हैं. It takes a lot of time. On the other side, हमारे घर की औरतें कपड़ा सिलना कैसे सीख जाती हैं? उन्हें तो कोई सिखाता भी नहीं है. पर मशीन चलती है. ऐसा क्यों है? Have you realized what is the difference? Leather industry में stitching machine is running on a roller. And domestic or the textile stitching machines are on a boot. रोलर इधर उधर भागता है, बूट नहीं भागता. तो ये रोलर आ कहां से गया लेदर इंडस्ट्री के अंदर में? बूट से क्यों नहीं सिलाई डाली गई? गारमेंट्स वाले सारे बूट इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, लेदर बैग्स वाले सब बूट इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं. हमारी इंडस्ट्री में रोलर आ गया है, जिसको संभालना इज अ वेरी वेरी टेक्निकल जॉब. मेरे को लगता है कि बूट जो है वो प्रॉपर प्रेशर नहीं दे पाता, उठ जाता है मटेरियल. टेक्सटाइल गारमेंट में कोई ऐसी प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती. इट इज अ वेरी पोरस मटेरियल, तो वो उठता नहीं है. गारमेंट लेदर बैग्स वगैरह के अंदर ऊपर कोई सिलाई दिखती नहीं है, सब अंदर होती है, तो वो भी खप जाता है. हमारी सिलाइयाँ नजर आती हैं, तो हमें बड़ी क्लीन स्टिचिंग चाहिए. व्हाई कांट वी वर्क समथिंग इन बिटवीन? कि बूट जो है अच्छा प्रेशर दे और रोलर हटे यहाँ से. You will see that immediately people start learning stitching. Thank you, sir. Please, next one.
Excuse me. Sorry to come back again, but like we were talking about time management. So you already know the lean management systems, and that is the time management. With the same force what you have in your factory, you can increase your production by 15 to 18% with the same people. That's what it is, lean management, just on the surface area. But if you go in deep, and you would know the time management itself. So I would stress upon CFTIs, FDTIs, or the factories here to form a cluster and get in the lean management systems here, because we ourselves are not aware what a lean management is. So lean management is quite a tedious process. They will do nothing in your quality control system or how to improve the quality, but with the same manpower, you will increase your production by 15 to 18%. So like my colleague, Senior Vice President, sir said, time management. So you will automatically learn the time management. It'll be, your factory will be divided into 30 sectors or 40 sectors. I mean, Mr. Sahu would know that we had a discussion on lean management, but we never went ahead. If we have to improve the productivity, we have to get in the lean management here. Otherwise, whatever you may try, nothing will improve. We are going to employ more labor for the same number of pairs, where with the same number of workers what we have in-house, we can still produce 15% extra. So I would request our president also, vice president also to have a meeting and bring in some lean management consultants into Agra, or one consultant, well, let's say 5 factories together, because it's an expensive process. We had done it, but we could not sustain because the expenses were very high. But we've adopted quite a lot of the lean management systems. So I would request our president to have a meeting with Mr. Sahu, or bring in I can also give a consultant who did ours. And he's already working in the MEIS sectors with different industries. And they have already increased their productions to 22% in certain categories. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello. Can I add something, sir?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. And sir, you will be knowing that last year we had organized this lean management practices in 10 different export-oriented industries at Agra. And it was sponsored by Government of India. But now only it was for 10 industries, 10 programs are there. But now we can, sir, we are having the resources. We can invite them. And if you kindly give the time, after 10th of this August, we can sit together, we can do a methodology, and the curriculum can be fixed so that we can start.
Mr. Sahu,
yes, sir.
Can I ask you a question?
Sir, please.
10 industries, can you name one of the industries who had adopted lean management?
Sir, training has been given to Rana overseas, and I think Daburpur and many other industries. Sir, 10 footwear industries has been, this program has been there.
So the factories are adopting the systems?
Sir, we have not taken the feedback.
So that is the feedback which has to be taken?
Yeah, we have to.
Otherwise, there's no point of lean management at all. It's a continuous process.
Okay. Sir, we'll sit together to develop a methodology so that we can go ahead, that we can discuss on this issue. Thank you, sir.
Vasan, it's a very timely suggestion. When I was overhearing when he was talking about these multinational companies coming to south of India and talking of training 6,000 raw hands or maybe semi-skilled people to be employed in the footwear industry, they will definitely go for this kind of lean management and time management which you're talking about. And that's the future for this country, to have a price control and efficiency control and quality control. And what you are saying is right. Even in our industry, also in our bag industry, that particular thing, we are seeing some companies in the south have already started producing bags on lean management. And we have been also trying to train our people, though it requires a lot more things than what's said, but definitely it has a lot of significance in achieving what you're really trying to say. Where the globally people are wanting that lean management because it gives you consistency of production also.
So this is a Toyota technology, basically, how they control their productions. So it should be incorporated in our industry as soon as possible. So that's what I am stressing upon lean management so much.
Thank you, sir. Before we go to the summary of this session, I request Dr. Krishnaraj, who is joined online, who is the head of the Issue and Product Development Center of CSIR CLRA, to give few words.
Good morning to one and all present here. Respected members on the dais, industry members who present in the offline program, and also all the footwear manufacturers and people who join in virtual mode. Good morning to one and all, and I'm happy to be part of this iConnect event. Even though I could not be able to join directly, kindly apologize me for joining in virtual mode. And when we talk about Agra leather cluster, it is a age-old cluster, as Pranj had said. You know, it is having a long tradition of starting from Mughal era. So it is a cluster where it gives employment to around 1 lakh people. That is what I heard. And it is basically very much attached to leather rather than non-leather. And it is around 70% of the footwear manufactured are of leather and the remaining is non-leather. And also when we see the industry cluster, it is basically comprising of unorganized cluster. Say for example, it consists household units and workshop units and also semi-mechanized units. So when we talk about the interventions in terms of material intervention, design intervention or manufacturing intervention, it needs to be a cluster based, because when we talk about the intervention in terms of organized sector and the unorganized sector, this needs to be differentiated. So I have the opportunity to listen to various industry stakeholders and members, and we have taken the inputs and after regular discussions with you, hope we will from CLRI and also in collaboration with CFTA and FDDA, we have to work together and bring the industry to great heights. And also the it is not only for the industry, and also it contributes to the nation as a whole. Thank you so much for your views, and we will be taking all the inputs and coming back to you with a proper plan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Shri Puran Tawar, President AFMEC, to summarize the B2B discussions.
Now, this is the time to conclude this 2 hours long session. We really got very important inputs today in this seminar organized by Ministry of Science and Technology. We were limiting the scope, industry expectations. What I, in the beginning, mentioned in my inaugural remark, the industry expectations were limited to the CLRI, to the waste management, to the core material development, to the finishes development. It's a product import substitutes, development of the import substitutes. But a very intensive and extensive presentation by the director, Mr. Shri KJ Shriram, that was a very intensive, and we have covered, I think, almost all the part of the processes. And definitely each and every part of the process needs the research. That's the key. Absolutely, that's key. And Mr. Motilal Sethi has given his emphasis on the manufacturing part, the cost cutting, the productivity part. Mr. Sehgal raised a very, very valid issue of why the hazardous chemicals, if they are really hazardous, first we need to really analyze those chemicals which are banned. Are they really hazardous? If they are really hazardous, sometimes he also says we have no reason not to believe they are hazardous because they have made some research. We can make the further research, and that should be implemented, that those products, the hazardous products, has to be abolished for all. For all. Why Indian skins are not, which can be tested for the bird? Definitely, we need to work on in this area. EI-10 leather, the vegetable 10 leather, is Mr. Sehgal has made the emphasis on that. This is absolutely really the key. There's a less expensive, and India has the largest livestock population. And there's the easiest process, which was our core strength. We couldn't improve that. We couldn't take the best benefit of that. We absolutely need to work on that. Mr. Gopal Gupta his point was the restoration of DSIR scheme. That is absolutely important. Design is absolute the key. We are missing, and without the design capabilities, we can't be the world leader. We can't replace any country. Copiers cannot be the brand owners. Copiers can't be the leaders. We absolutely need to upgrade our design and widen our basket with different products. Mr. Sahu made the emphasis on widening the basket, not only to traditional shoes, to the orthopedic shoes, to the medical shoes, to many kind of the scopes are there. We can really work on that. Mr. Watson regularly, I think 2-3 times, he have made the emphasis on the lean manufacturing. We must understand the productivity and the labor cost is the key. Why the world is looking at India? The key is labor cost. There's only and only labor, the skill, which is attracting India. And the whole material, the whole game is of labor cost. The material, all the materials worldwide on the same price. We are importing a lot of materials. We are incurring the cost on transportation of those materials. That is all covered with only the labor. So we need to really make our total research work on how we can increase our best of the productivity, how the best practices. Mr. Sagar given a very good suggestions. The ladies can stitch without any skill at home. So the textile, why can't the leather? There's a really a point of research. The roller can be replaced by, what was the next process? By boot. So ours was a very, very mind-blowing session. And we need to work on such with the, finally, with the bullish. I'm always bullish on the industry. It's our turn. Nobody can take our turn. And only we need to change our mindsets. So many initiatives by this present government. Make up India, start up India, stand up India, speed up India, to skill India, re-skill India, upskill India. There's so many programs, so many initiatives taken and so many schemes. The PLI is absolutely the key. The government, but working on the FTAs, that will be absolutely the game changers, will make us more competitive, more favored nation. So these kind of the sessions. But today, CLRI and the Ministry of Science and Technology under Central Scientific Research Institute is definitely will give us the edge to graduate our levels to the next level. So, and I think the government at the moment is rather more proactive than what the industry is. Industry as to what Mr. Director, Mr. Sanatan Sahu emphasized, that there should be absolutely an interface between the industry and the institutes, whether it is Footwear Training Institute or the FDDI or the CLRI. There's only we can upgrade them. Our association can upgrade their levels. With this, I think the thing is concluded before the formal vote of thanks to each and everyone from conceptualizing to the execution of this seminar. There's a lot of hard work is, are always done behind the scene. These are not only the people who are on the dais, they are the contributors or the few participants who participated in this seminar, but they are behind the curtain. There's a whole entire team of the CLRI worked hard. I thank you so much. I put on my words of gratitude on record for CLRI for organizing this thoughtful session today, and we will keep on doing more and more sessions. And my Vice President, yes, Mr. Motilal Sethi has traveled all the way from Delhi for this session. And all the presents here, I thank you so much for. Thank you. And you are invited for the lunch.
Thank you very much, sir. For summarizing the points of the speakers, we have received thoughtful insights for reorienting our R&D for the benefit of the footwear industry. Thank you, sir. Now we will proceed with our poster presentation on sustainable technologies by Dr. P. Thanigai Velan, Senior Principal Scientist, CSIR CLRI, and Dr. S.V. Srinivasan, Senior Principal Scientist, CSIR CLRI. Thank you, sir.
Now we start the poster session. Can you please share the PowerPoint? Yeah, so we just made a small poster session and to picturize the recent developments in from the CSR CLRA towards the sustainability of leather industry, leather and leather product industry. So we made few posters and the posters are available here physically. We can interact after this session before the lunch. And for the benefit of audience joined over online, we just made this PPT so that they can also visualize. I'll just quickly go through those posters. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, in the recent past, CSAR CLRA has been providing sustainable solutions, end-to-end kind of a solutions for the predominantly for the tanning industry in terms of say the providing the effluent treatment systems, whether it is an individual or common effluent treatment systems over a period of 2 to 3 decades. We have been associated with that. And of course, various other cleaner processing solutions also we provide for the economic and other environmental benefits to the industry. That is what pictured in this particular poster. Next slide, please. In the past few years, we have been also helping the strategic sector like for the army people of Government of India, where they are situated in a very high altitude places like the Siachen. For them, we are also providing some solutions in terms of providing the gloves, which can be used at very high altitude with very good insulation properties and also other improved properties. And we are doing a project under the name of chemicals for low temperature applications of leather in strategic sector, abbreviated as CHILS, and where we are looking at improved gloves by our chemical technologies. So this slide provides that information, and this is also available as a poster outside. We can see it later. Next slide, please. In the past 2-3 years, we are also engaged in developing our own Indian food sizing measurement systems. And there is a major project with the DPI of Government of India, which is known as Indian Food Sizing System. And we almost done the groundwork by taking measurements all over India. We have used 3D digital imaging technique to capture the food sizes. And there were about 28 teams with about 80 locations identified in India. And the total sample size is closer to 1 lakh. And we completed the baseline survey. And now we are working on the statistics and making it into kind of a modeling system, and then developing our own standards for our foot measurements. So this hopefully within another 6 months to 1 year, we will complete the project, and hopefully it will be adopted by the industry, footwear industry. Next slide. The eco-testing and accreditation is another major contribution from the CSCR CLRI for testing the eco-sensitive chemicals. And we have the CATAS facility, which is a designated department and accredited with the national accreditation body and NABL. And we also provide the certification for finished leather. This is what highlights of this particular slide. Next slide, please. In terms of technologies for indigenous raw materials, we are also working with reference to specific to the key raw materials of which is indigenous to the Indian continent, and that is buffalo and goat. These are the major the raw material species available in India, specific to India, and we specifically developed the various articles which is more suitable from goat and also from buffalo. Recently, we made a goat project wherein we tried to develop a variety of products using the available cleaner technologies like the enzymatic annealing, organic tanning system, devoid of any vegetable and glutaraldehyde, which is the need of the industry, and using the waterless chrome tanning technology, and also using liquid syntans and dyes to reduce the pollution load. And we developed such products, and the technology is available for the industry. Next slide. Chicken feet leathers is at another area where the chicken feet skins, which are normally thrown away, which can be thought of making into a leather product. So what we have done, we made a small technology by providing some tanning technology to tan these chicken feet. And then we try to make them into a kind of the stitching the various pieces of the tanned chicken feet into making a bigger sample, and then use it for making products like leather goods as well as including the footwear. And this technology has been now licensed to a startup company, and which is currently available through that company for various products. Next slide. In the past, we also provided foot care solutions by providing not just a foot care to foot care, basically providing a diabetic patients comfortable footwear to reduce their pressure points and the things like that. So this was known as a DiaStep footwear, which is again transferred to the MV Healthcare Private Limited. Next slide. Of course, we also worked with Kolhapuri footwear products in various parts of the Karnataka, and we tried to provide some input so that they can improve their product making. And this again, it is the design innovations were provided through training and workshops, and this was done some decade before. Next slide. And again, with reference to the ethnic design for leather products, we try to utilize the ethnically popular fabrics available in Northeast India, and then combine with leather, and we try to develop various combination products. This slide provides that details. Next slide. Of course, as our president was talking about, we are also into the mod Europe and providing color information ahead for the industry. Next slide. This is probably the final slide, where we are also working on developing some leather-like materials out of the various naturally available materials like plant waste or the fruit waste, etc. And then we try to make kind of a leather-like materials for various the product requirements applications. Next slide. Yeah, now I invite Dr. Srinivasan to present some sustainable solutions to the footwear industry. Can you please make the next presentation available?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, we have made a couple of slides to understand the opportunities available with the government as well as the norms that are relevant for footwear sector. Actually, everybody aware of this current challenges. You can see not only the footwear industry, other industries, as well as the whole nation, as well as the global scenario is actually we are facing a lot of water issues, climate change, and other waste management, things like that. So actually this, all the issue has been put up by the United Nations in the form of Sustainable Development Goals. Actually, next slide. Yeah, next slide. Next. These are the actually the issues as of now. We can say challenges not only faced by our industry, everyone in the global. We are making it. Next slide. These are the actually this all the points has been put up by the United Nations in the form of Sustainable Development Goals, and actually we'll see end of the day how actually the leather industry can meet that requirements. Next slide. So we can say different type of waste are being generated. Next. We have a hazardous waste, non-hazardous waste, things like that. And actually, as our director mentioned, we can produce energy from the waste and also for different biological methods as well as on the thermal methods, which will solve the problem of energy, meeting the requirement of energy. Next slide. And actually the hazardous waste, as we discussed, actually we have option of landfill or waste to energy. This option can be explored. And also actually some of the hazardous waste also can be used in the cement industry, so that actually the circular economy model can be tried. Next slide. And if you come to the footwear industry waste, actually we have a leather waste, finished leather waste, and also the plastic and other waste, which can be used for making fuel or energy or some other forms, so that it can be utilized, so that there will not be any waste which goes to the landfill. Next slide. And actually, other relevant norms which are for footwear sectors are ISO 14,000, 9,000, all I think many of the industries must be following it up. Like lean is a manufacturing process. Here is another manufacturing management system is ISO 9001, 14,001 takes care of waste environmental management, and OSHA that takes care of health and safety. And we also have SCA, social accountability, that also is taken care because many of the suppliers may be required for that. Next slide. And now LWG norms are there for tanneries. That also has to be taken care by the buyers. And similarly, now we have hazardous chemicals. That's what actually we discussed about the REACH norms and things like that. That chemicals also coming up, and we have to meet those requirements. And also now actually zero waste concept is coming up, where actually the circular economy model has to be tried so that the waste is not goes to the landfill. Next slide. And coming to the other opportunities given by the government of India for the footwear sector, I actually, as of the new scheme has come up, IFLA DP scheme, where actually we have 6 schemes. Out of that 6, 3 or 4 will be suitable for footwear. Actually, the STEP scheme, where actually the waste management can be taken up, where government is giving about 70% if it is a centralized fund, centralized facility. And in integrated IDLS scheme, actually they are getting about 30% subsidy. And another one relevant is branding, that is also possible. Actually, they give 50% fund for that. And another one is this design studio, where actually the big companies can go for their own design studio, and they give about 50%. So these are the opportunities available, and this opportunity can be used by the footwear sector. Thank you. All the details are available on the website of DPIIT. You can refer that and get the benefit out of it. That's all. And if you do all these things, next slide. If you do all this, what actually, how the footwear sector is contributing, we can say out of this 17 development goals, we have a lot of sectors, no poverty and health, employment, etc. So actually, we can say a lot more can be done by this footwear sector to meet the national development goals, which will not only meet the requirements of industry, also meet the national requirements. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Sri Abhinandan, coordinator of the event, to propose the formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, one and all. First of all, I would like to thank Director CLRI, Dr. KJ Sriram, to select this Agra, which you call the capital of footwear in India. So this is the place has been chosen for conducting this program here under Industry Connect, which is being done to celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Then I would like to thank Sri Puran Dawarji, the President, Agra Footwear Manufacturers and Exporters Chamber. Sir, without Puran Dawarji, I mean, his guidance, this whole program is being done under the guidance of Sri Puran Dawarji only. He has guided us to organize it, and his team has supported us a lot to make it happen here. Next, I would like to thank Sri Motilal Sethi, who came here all the way from Delhi. That shows the importance of such kind of program that we are doing. I also like to thank Sri Rajesh Sehgal, Vice President of APMEC, to be here and give us the food for thought, which is well taken, I think, by all of us. We will definitely work on that. Then I would like to thank Sri Sanatan Sahuji, Director CFTA Agra, who has also taken time out to be here with us. So thank you. And in the end, I would like to thank all the participants who have come here to be a part of this program and those also who have joined online. So thank you one and all. Thank you. And now I request on behalf of Director and Sri Puran Dawarji, I request all of you to join us for a lunch. Thank you.